Welcome to Boutique Elegance, a story that takes you behind the polished glass doors of the most sophisticated shop in town, where luxury isn't just about fine fabrics and the latest fashion trends, it's about the people who create an atmosphere of grace and warmth. Meet Mary and John, a devoted couple who run this elegant boutique with quiet dedication. Their love for each other is mirrored in the way they care for every customer and garment, making their store a sanctuary of style and respect. But when a face from Mary's past walks through the door, the serene ambience of boutique elegance is shattered. Carla, an old schoolmate with a dark streak of cruelty, arrives with her friends, setting the stage for a series of events that will test Mary and John's strength and compassion to the limit. As old insecurities resurface and the shadows of the past threaten to overshadow the present, Mary must find the courage to stand her ground, not just for herself but for the future she and John have built together. What unfolds is a story of resilience, forgiveness, and the transformative power of kindness. Dive into boutique elegance and discover how one woman's grace under pressure can turn the tide of cruelty, bringing light to even the darkest corners of the human heart. Will Mary's quiet strength be enough to overcome the challenges that lie ahead? Read on to find out. The morning sun streamed through the large glass windows of the elegant boutique, casting a soft golden light on the clothing displays. The store, the most sophisticated in town, was a sanctuary of luxury and refinement. The meticulously organized garments showcased everything from the finest fabrics to the latest fashion trends. Mary, a woman of average height with an aura of calm and elegance, moved gracefully among the racks, adjusting clothes and attending to customers with a sincere smile. Her ability to make each customer feel special was evident, and the way she handled each piece with care demonstrated her deep respect for her work. Her dark hair was tied in a flawless bun, and her eyes shone with a kindness that captivated everyone around her. John, her husband, was a man of quiet but firm presence. Working as a cashier, he kept the environment organized and the service efficient. His upright posture and the precise way he counted the bills reflected his dedication. John always exchanged a loving glance with Mary when he had to cross the store, and this exchange of looks was a silent expression of deep and lasting love. The store was always full of demanding customers, and Mary and John were known for their ability to handle even the most difficult clients with a smile. "Good morning, Mrs. Smith," Mary said softly as the customer passed through the store with a satisfied expression. "Can I help you with anything today?" The atmosphere at Boutique Elegance was as sophisticated as it was welcoming. The walls were adorned with elegant artworks, and the gentle sound of classical music filled the space, creating an atmosphere of serenity and sophistication. Conversations between customers and staff were always marked by a tone of respect and professionalism. In their daily routine, Mary and John worked in perfect sync. Mary attended to the customers with personal attention, while John handled transactions and kept the finances in check. The synergy between them was palpable, and the store's success reflected their dedication and hard work. "Have you seen the new collection, John?" Mary asked as she adjusted a vibrant red dress on the rack. "I think it's going to be a hit." "Certainly, dear," John replied with a smile. "The fabric is of impressive quality. I'm sure our customers will love it." Amid interactions with regular customers and the constant adjustment of displays, the couple felt fulfilled by the impact they had on their customers' lives. Mary and John were the heart and soul of boutique elegance, and their passion for what they did was evident in every detail of the carefully maintained environment. The day passed smoothly, with the couple navigating the demands of customers and maintaining the work environment in perfect harmony. Boutique Elegance was not just a clothing store, it was a reflection of Mary and John's love and dedication, where every customer was treated with the same consideration and respect as a dear friend. Carla entered boutique elegance with a bang that seemed to shatter the serenity that filled the room. Her high heels echoed on the polished marble floor as she advanced with exaggerated confidence, her hands full of designer bags. The sun still illuminated the store, but Carla's presence cast a shadow of arrogance that dimmed the natural glow. Mary, who was adjusting a dress display, looked up and saw the new arrival. Her heart tightened as she recognized the woman approaching. Carla, a former schoolmate, looked even more imposing in her designer dress and flashy accessories. She always had a way of standing out, even on the most ordinary days. "Good morning, Carla," Mary said with a cordial smile, trying to hide her discomfort. "How can I help you today?" Carla raised an eyebrow, looking at Mary with a mix of surprise and disdain. "Well, look who we have here. Mary, our school star. I didn't think you'd be working in retail." Mary forced a neutral expression, but her eyes betrayed a hint of embarrassment. "Yes, I work here. Can I help you with something specific?" Carla walked over to the racks, examining the clothes with disdain. "Sure, not that you'd know much about fashion. By the way, your photos are making the rounds in our school group. Everyone's having a good laugh." Mary's blood seemed to freeze. The school group? Memories of school, always filled with insecurities and ridicule, came flooding back. She tried to maintain her composure, but the pain of the memories was visible in her eyes. "Oh, what a shame," Carla said with a cruel smile. "It looks like you're trying to do something decent with your life, but honestly, you're not really on the same level as the rest of us." John, who was at the register, observed the interaction with growing tension. He knew Carla well and knew that his wife was being unfairly attacked. He tried not to show his discomfort, staying focused on his work. Carla began discreetly taking pictures of Mary as she moved around the store, sending them to the school group with sarcastic captions and mocking messages. "Look at our ex-classmate trying to be chic. Anyone who knew her in school knows she never measured up." Mary, upon receiving a notification on her phone, saw the messages and photos. Her heart sank, and a wave of shame and sadness washed over her. "Please, Carla, if you need anything specific, I'm here to help," she said, trying to maintain a professional tone despite the pain. Carla shrugged and gave one last disdainful glance before leaving the store. "I'll think about it. Don't get too excited." After Carla left, Mary allowed herself a moment of weakness. She leaned against one of the racks, trying to take a deep breath. John quickly approached, his eyes full of concern. "Mary, what was that?" he asked softly, his voice filled with worry. "She's still the same as always," Mary replied, her voice trembling. "And now she's trying to make everyone laugh at me again." John wrapped her in a comforting hug. "Don't worry about it. We'll handle this together." As the couple tried to regain their composure, the impact of Carla's visit still lingered in the air. Boutique elegance continued to be a bastion of elegance and professionalism, but the shadow cast by Carla and her cruelly planned actions began to loom, promising imminent turmoil. The group of former schoolmates was buzzing, chatting about the latest events and sharing stories from their school days. Amidst laughter and comments, pictures of Mary began to appear on their phone screens. Carla, with a satisfied smile, watched her friends' reactions as the messages of disdain and jokes started flowing. "Look at this one," Carla said, showing a picture of Mary organizing clothes in the store. "Remember her? Our classmate who never stood out. Now she's trying to be important." The former classmates started laughing and commenting. "Mary was always a joke," one of them said. "I never thought she'd end up working in a luxury store." That's almost funny. Meanwhile, Mary was at home, sitting on the couch with her phone in hand. Her heart felt heavy as she scrolled through the photos and messages Carla had shared. The virtual laughter of her old classmates seemed to cut deeper than any criticism she had ever heard before. Memories of school days, marked by bullying and exclusion, resurfaced. The messages were cruel. "Look at our fashionista," one read. "I bet she doesn't know the difference between silk and polyester," said another. "At least she's trying to fit in somewhere," mocked a third. The pain Mary felt was palpable, a mixture of humiliation and sadness. "I can't believe this is happening again," Mary murmured to herself, tears starting to slip down her face. The pain of the past felt as vivid as ever, as if time hadn't made any difference. Each message, each virtual laugh, was a reminder of the loneliness she had felt during her school years. John entered the room and saw the despair on his wife's face. "What happened, Mary?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. "It's Carla," Mary replied, her voice trembling. "She sent photos of me to the school group. They're laughing at me again. It's like nothing's changed." John sat beside her and took her hand in a comforting gesture. "You're not alone in this. We'll face it together. Don't let these people make you feel less than you are." Mary looked at him with gratitude, feeling a bit stronger. "Thank you, John. I just thought I was over this." "You're amazing, Mary," John said, his voice firm. "You're a dignified person and deserve all the respect. Don't let these old memories steal your confidence." As the night went on, Mary and John talked deeply about the impact of the past and how to deal with the situation. Mary remembered how hard she had worked to be a better person, to build a life she could be proud of, despite the emotional scars left by those difficult years. "I just want to move on," Mary said finally. "But it seems like there's always someone trying to pull me back." John hugged her tightly. "We'll find a solution for this. Don't let these people define who you are. You're a strong and deserving woman." The next day, Mary went to work with new determination. She knew she needed to face the situation with courage, not just for herself but also for John, who was by her side. Boutique elegance, with its shine and sophistication, seemed like a safe haven against the outside world, but Mary's cruel past was closing in again, threatening the tranquility she and John had built. The sun was still low in the sky, and boutique elegance was beginning to receive its first customers of the day. The store, with its gleaming windows and high-fashion clothes, seemed unshakable, a fortress of sophistication and elegance. However, behind the glass doors, the atmosphere was about to change drastically. Carla, with a conspiratorial air, gathered her friends in a chic cafe in town. Her tone was subtle but laden with calculated malice. "So, girls, today's the day. Remember Mary, our schoolmate? She's working at that luxury store we go to." "I remember her," said Sophia, one of Carla's friends, with a sarcastic smile. "She was always so plain. What do you have in mind?" Carla leaned forward, her expression becoming even darker. "Let's pay her a visit and give her a reception she'll never forget. Let's show her that her place isn't here, that she doesn't belong in our world." The other friends laughed, savoring the idea with a mix of excitement and cruelty. "That sounds perfect," commented another friend, amused. "She needs to learn her place." The following morning brought a new mood to boutique elegance. Mary and John were busy with their daily tasks, as usual. Mary was helping a customer choose an elegant dress, while John, behind the register, tried to keep the shopping flow smooth. The store bell jingled cheerfully, and Carla entered, accompanied by her friends, each of them with a look of disdain. Carla walked in front, her eyes inspecting the store as if she were about to evaluate an antique piece. Her friends spread out through the store, loudly commenting and exaggerating the grandeur of their own presence. "Look who's here," Carla said, her voice sounding artificially friendly as she addressed Mary. "What a surprise to see you here. The last time I saw you, you weren't so well dressed, were you?" Mary forced a smile, trying to keep her composure. "How can I help you today, Carla?" Carla didn't reply immediately. Instead, she began browsing the racks, pulling clothes and deliberately throwing them on the floor. "Oh, Mary, you must be used to cleaning up messes, aren't you?" Carla's friends started laughing and making sarcastic comments about the store and its products. The situation quickly became uncomfortable for the other customers, who watched with a mix of shock and disapproval. John, at the register, tried to stay calm, watching the scene with a look of frustration and concern. "Look, girls," Carla continued with a voice dripping with disdain. "Is this store really all it's cracked up to be? It seems like it's just a facade." Mary bent down to pick up the clothes from the floor, trying to ignore the cruel glances and laughter. "Sorry for the inconvenience," she said in a controlled tone. "I'll take care of this right away." The tension in the store was palpable. Carla and her friends were clearly enjoying the situation, relieving their own frustrations by humiliating Mary. Every laugh and cruel comment was a stab at Mary's dignity, who struggled to keep her emotions in check. Meanwhile, John approached the counter, trying to intervene. "If you're not satisfied with the service, perhaps it would be better to reconsider your visit," he suggested, trying to keep the situation under control without causing more conflict. Carla shot John a look of contempt. "Oh, please. Just show me the best you've got, if you have anything really worth noting." The minutes dragged on, with Carla and her friends continuing to emotionally torture Mary, who did her best to stay calm and dignified. Carla's cruel plan was in full swing, and Mary's humiliation seemed to be just a game for her and her friends. As Carla headed to the register with her purchases, Mary tried to maintain her composure, but deep down she knew the day was far from over. Carla's cruel plot was just beginning to unfold, promising more challenges and humiliations for Mary and John. Boutique elegance was immersed in a climate of discomfort, with customers watching the scene unfold intently. Mary, with remarkable effort, tried to keep her composure as Carla and her friends dragged out the cruel spectacle. Carla, satisfied with the chaos she had caused, continued to push the limits. "Look at this dress," she said, picking up a silk model and tossing it on the floor with an exaggerated gesture. "Mary, do you happen to know where the cleaning buckets are? Maybe it's time to start using them." The laughter of Carla's friends echoed through the store, a cruel soundtrack to Mary's humiliation. Every move Carla made was calculated to further destabilize Mary. She walked past the racks, pulling clothes and leaving them scattered on the floor, while her friends enjoyed themselves and made sarcastic comments. "Mary, darling, you must be used to this," said one of Carla's friends as she walked over the scattered clothes. "A normal day for you, isn't it?" Mary quickly bent down to pick up the clothes, her face red with shame, while her eyes shone with a mix of sadness and restrained anger. She felt the weight of the customers' gazes and the subtle judgment in each expression. She tried not to let the pain she felt inside show. John, from his position behind the register, watched with growing concern. He knew he couldn't let the situation escalate any further, but his desire to intervene was held back by the need to keep things under control. He maintained his professional demeanor, although his face showed the tension he was feeling. Carla and her friends continued to enjoy the situation, raising the volume of their taunts. "You know, I always wanted to be someone important," Carla said, addressing Mary. "Looks like you're trying to make up for all that lost time." Carla's words were like knives to Mary's heart. The humiliation didn't just come from the actions, but from the cruel words that poked at her deepest wounds. The past was repeating itself, and Mary felt powerless to stop the cycle. The customers in the store were clearly uncomfortable with the situation, but most preferred to remain silent, avoiding getting involved in the conflict. Some exchanged looks of sympathy with Mary, but few dared to speak up. The atmosphere, once sophisticated and elegant, was now thick with tension and discomfort. Finally, Carla and her friends decided it was time to end the attack. Carla walked up to the register with her purchases, her expression a mix of satisfaction and challenge. She placed the clothes on the counter with a provocative smile. "We're ready to pay, John. I hope you won't have any trouble with the payment." John, still trying to stay calm, picked up the clothes and began processing the transaction. Carla, with a triumphant smile, handed over her credit card. But instead of a green light, the card reader displayed an error message. John looked surprised and tried again, but the result was the same. Carla's smile began to falter. She handed over another card, hoping it was an isolated problem, but the second card was also declined. The embarrassment was visibly growing on her face. Her friends looked at her with a mix of surprise and shame. "This must be some kind of mistake," Carla said, her voice rising in desperation. "Try another card." John remained calm, but the discomfort was evident in his expression. He tried several cards, one after the other, and all were declined. Carla's embarrassment became a public scene, with customers starting to whisper and look at the situation with growing curiosity. The situation had shifted from simple mockery to absolute public embarrassment. Carla was visibly ashamed, her face turning redder and redder. Her friends began to distance themselves, unable to deal with the growing embarrassment. Carla's cruel act had turned into a public humiliation, and the situation was far from over. The atmosphere of boutique elegance was heavy with tension, the customers' whispers creating an unsettling background as the drama unfolded. Carla, already visibly uncomfortable, was desperately trying to get around the situation, while John, behind the register, did his best to keep things under control. Carla, with an expression of growing frustration, now stood in front of John, who continued to process the declined credit cards. "Come on, John," Carla said, her voice choked with impatience. "There must be some problem with the system. This can't be happening." John tried to stay calm, even as the situation became increasingly uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but all the cards you presented have been declined. It could be a problem with the bank." Carla turned to her friends with a desperate look. "Do any of you have a card?" she asked, her voice almost pleading. "Maybe one of you can try to pay." Sophia, one of Carla's friends, stepped forward and tried her own card, but the result was the same, declined. "That's not possible," Sophia murmured, her tone a mix of frustration and shame. Anna, another friend, tried as well, with the same disastrous result. The shame and discomfort were building, creating an oppressive atmosphere. The sound of nervous laughter and disdainful murmurs among the customers made the situation even more unbearable for Carla. "This is a nightmare," Carla said, her voice rising with anger and despair. "I need a solution now." John, trying to be professional despite the situation, offered a suggestion. "If you'd like, I can check if there's a problem with the payment system. It might be a temporary issue." You could also provide another payment method or contact your bank. Carla looked at him with a mix of anger and frustration. I don't have any more cards with me. This is the only method I brought. The scene was turning into a spectacle for the customers. Carla's desperation was evident, and her embarrassment spread across her face. The sophisticated atmosphere the store usually exuded had disappeared, replaced by a scene of palpable discomfort and tension. John tried once more to contact the store's payment center, while Carla and her friends stepped aside, whispering to each other in hurried tones. Please tell me there. "SA solution," Carla murmured to her friends, her face even paler with shame. "I don't know what to do," Anna replied, with a look of distress. "This is getting worse and worse." The situation seemed to be dragging on with no solution in sight. The tension in the air was almost unbearable, and Carla was growing increasingly nervous, her behavior revealing her true anxiety. The customers in the store began to move around, some whispering to each other about what was happening, while others prepared to leave, tired of the embarrassing situation. Finally, Carla, with no other options, decided to try calling the bank, hoping to resolve the issue. "I'll call my bank," she said, her voice trembling. "Maybe they can help me." While Carla tried to solve the situation, the rest of her friends were growing more and more restless, exchanging nervous glances and looking for an escape from the uncomfortable situation they had put themselves in. John, standing behind the register, watched the situation with a look of exhaustion and frustration. What had started as a simple purchase had turned into a humiliating public event, and he was eager to see how it would all be resolved. The drama was far from over, and the atmosphere of embarrassment hung heavily over the store. Carla's desperation was visible, her face pale and her eyes red with frustration. Her attempt to resolve the situation over the phone seemed fruitless. Each second seemed to drag on with increasing weight, the embarrassment becoming unbearable. Mary and John, from their respective positions, watched with a mix of concern and tension. The situation took a new turn when the boutique door opened with a sudden click, and two imposing figures entered the store. It was Carla's parents, whose faces were a mix of concern and severity. They were clearly in a hurry, and the intensity of their presence made everyone in the store turn to watch. "Carla, what's going on here?" Carla's mother, Mrs. Helena, exclaimed with a voice that cut through the store's silence. Her eyes were fixed on Carla, who was standing by the register, her posture tense and defensive. Carla, in a desperate gesture, turned to her parents. "Mom, Dad, you have to help me. All my cards were declined. This is a mistake, I swear. I need to fix this now." Carla's father, Mr. Robert, looked at the register with a disapproving expression. "Why didn't you let us know earlier? We need to resolve this immediately." Mrs. Helena walked up to the register, her eyes fixing on John, who was trying to stay calm. "My card isn't working. This is unacceptable. We have to fix this situation now." John, though visibly tired, continued to maintain his composure. "I'm sorry, ma'am. We've tried all the cards, and all of them were declined. It might be a problem with the bank. If you'd like, we can try a different approach, or you can also try contacting the bank." Mrs. Helena seemed increasingly irritated. "This is a scandal. Carla, how could you let this happen? Now, if you can't pay, what will we do?" As Mrs. Helena spoke, Mr. Robert looked around the store, his gaze settling on the staff and the uncomfortable atmosphere that hung in the air. His eyes, now softer, met Mary's, who was standing a distance away, watching the scene with a tense expression. "Carla, show me your cards again," Mrs. Helena said, her voice now calmer, but still with a tone of reproach. "I'll try to fix this." Carla handed her cards to her parents, her expression of shame still visible. Mrs. Helena tried once more to swipe the cards, but the errors persisted. Mrs. Helena's frustration was evident, and the room was filled with an uneasy silence as she argued with the bank over the phone. "This can't be happening," Mrs. Helena murmured to herself, her voice filled with worry and disapproval. "There has to be an explanation for this." Mr. Robert finally turned to Carla, his voice firm and determined. "Carla, this is a lesson about responsibility and respect. You need to understand the value of work and dignity. We can't keep going on like this." Carla's shame was palpable, and her father's words hit her hard. Carla's friends were now huddled in a corner, trying to hide from the stern looks of her parents and the uncomfortable situation they had helped create. The store's customers watched the whole thing with a mix of curiosity and discomfort. The scene that was unfolding was becoming a public display of reprimand and humiliation. The tension was evident as Mrs. Helena finished the call, her expression showing that the situation was far from resolved. "I'll sort this out with the bank," she said, her tone determined. "But, Carla, you're going to learn an important lesson from this." Carla's parents, with expressions of disapproval, were now determined to deal with the situation and ensure the lesson was well learned. The atmosphere in the store was heavy with emotional weight, and everyone present knew that the situation still had more chapters to unfold. The environment at Boutique Elegance was tense and filled with a sense of expectation. Carla, her parents, and her friends were still in the store, and the situation was far from resolved. Mary, standing by the register, watched the scene with an unperturbed expression, while John tried to control the situation and maintain the establishment's dignity. Finally, Mrs. Helena hung up the phone with a sigh of relief. The bank managed to unlock one of the cards, she announced, her voice tired. "We can proceed with the payment now." Carla, still pale and visibly embarrassed, let out a sigh of relief and prepared to complete the payment. Meanwhile, Mary decided that the time was right to reveal the truth. She approached with a calm expression, but her eyes shone with a determined resolve. "Mrs. Helena, Mr. Robert," Mary began, her voice firm and steady. "I'd like to speak with you, if you could give me a moment." Mrs. Helena and Mr. Robert turned to Mary, surprised by her approach. "Yes?" Mrs. Helena asked, her tone still tinged with irritation. Mary took a deep breath, looking directly at Carla, who was standing with her head down. "I'm the owner of this store," Mary declared, with a look that reflected the seriousness of the moment. "The entire situation you witnessed here was part of a test. I disguised myself as a salesperson to observe how our employees handle difficult customers, to assess the quality of service." Shock took over Carla's face as Mary's words echoed through the store. "What are you saying?" Carla asked, her voice trembling with disbelief. Mary continued, not breaking eye contact. "I knew your visit would be an opportunity to see how people's values and dignity manifest in adverse situations. The way you and your friends treated my staff was disrespectful and humiliating, and I needed to see it with my own eyes." Carla's parents, visibly surprised, looked at Mary with expressions of shock. "Are you saying this was all staged?" Mrs. Helena asked, her voice filled with incredulity. "Yes," Mary confirmed, with a tone of firmness that left no room for doubt. "I wanted to understand how dignity and respect are treated in this establishment, and now I see clearly the need for change." The room was filled with heavy silence. Mary's revelation had a profound impact, and the customers who had witnessed the scene were now in a state of astonishment. Carla had tears in her eyes, her shame and guilt evident. John, standing in the background, confirmed Mary's story with a nod. "It's true," he said, his voice filled with a mix of relief and nerves. "Mary really is the owner, and she used this situation to evaluate how we treat our customers." Carla's reaction was a mix of tears and remorse. I didn't know," she whispered, her tears falling freely. "I just wanted what?" Mary interrupted, her tone unyielding. "Wanted to humiliate others to feel better? That's not what a dignified person does." Carla's parents, now with expressions of concern, approached Mary. "We didn't know this was happening," Mr. Roberts said, his voice tinged with regret. "We're deeply ashamed of our daughter's behavior." Mary, seeing the sincerity in Carla's parents' expressions, made a gesture of understanding. "I appreciate that you came here and want to resolve the situation. It's an important step in acknowledging your mistakes and growing from them." Carla, with her face red and still crying, approached Mary. I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely able to come out. "I never thought things would go this far." Mary looked at Carla with a mix of compassion and firmness. "I hope this experience helps you understand the true value of respect and dignity. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, regardless of their social position." As the atmosphere in the store began to calm, Mary's words hung in the air. Her revelation had a profound impact on everyone present, and boutique elegance, once a symbol of glamour and sophistication, had now become a stage for a lesson in humanity and respect. The air in boutique elegance was thick with a combination of tension and relief after Mary's shocking revelation. The store, which just moments before had been a battlefield of humiliation and disrespect, was now steeped in an atmosphere of reflection and shame. Carla, her parents, and her friends stood, absorbing the weight of Mary's words and the impact of the situation. The revelation that Mary was the store owner had left everyone perplexed, but the real test of character was still to come. Mary, with a serene posture, observed the scene with an understanding gaze. The sight of Carla, so proud and disdainful before, now crying in front of everyone, touched Mary's heart. Even with the hurt she had caused, Mary decided to act with a dignity that few could match. "Carla," Mary called, her voice firm but gentle. "I know this isn't the easiest moment for you. However, I want to offer you something as a symbol of a new beginning." Carla raised her head, her eyes red and swollen from crying, waiting in silence. Mary walked over to a nearby rack and picked up a stunning blue silk dress, one of the most expensive items in the boutique. It was a dress Carla had previously eyed with both desire and disdain, and now it became a symbol of something much more than fashion. "I'd like to give you this dress," Mary continued, holding the item with a gesture of kindness. "It's not just a gift, but an opportunity, a reminder that everyone deserves a chance to learn and grow. Even when you disrespected us, I want to show that it's possible to offer compassion, even when we receive something different in return." Carla looked at the dress, completely stunned. Mary's words hit her with unexpected force. The gesture of Mary, a woman who had been the target of cruelty, offering a gift with such generosity, was an act Carla could never have imagined. Mrs. Helena and Mr. Robert watched the scene with a mix of admiration and surprise. "I don't know what to say," Mrs. Helena finally spoke, her voice choked with emotion. "This gesture is truly unexpected and touching." Carla, still with tears streaming down her face, held the dress in her hands, looking at Mary with a look of deep gratitude. I don't know how to thank you," Carla said, her voice filled with a mix of shame and humility. "I never thought anyone could be so generous after everything that happened. Mary smiled, her smile full of genuine kindness. "It's not about thanks," she replied. "It's about understanding the value of respect and compassion. I hope this dress symbolizes a new beginning for you and for all of us." The other customers who had witnessed the scene began to approach, offering words of encouragement and support. The atmosphere in the store, which had been heavy with tension and misunderstandings, now filled with a sense of renewal and hope. Mary's presence, with her selfless gesture, had transformed the place into one where dignity and respect were once again put first. As Carla, still emotional, accepted Mary's gift, the atmosphere in the store began to soften. Mary's gesture became a turning point, not just for Carla, but for everyone present. It was a powerful reminder that even in the most difficult situations, kindness and understanding could prevail, bringing a new perspective to everyone involved. The store, now quiet, was marked by a profound life lesson. Mary had shown that true greatness lay not in material possessions or status, but in the ability to offer forgiveness and understanding, even when faced with the worst. And so, boutique elegance, with its luxury products and demanding customers, became a symbol of a much more valuable message: the importance of kindness and empathy in the modern world. The sun slowly rises over the city, bringing with it a new day and new hopes for everyone involved in the story of boutique elegance. The impact of the recent turmoil was still fresh in everyone's minds, but now it was time to reflect and find meaning in the recent experiences. Mary and Carla were on very different paths, each dealing with the consequences of their actions and seeking redemption. Carla, now away from the hustle and bustle of the city and deep in a process of self-reflection, was in a small cafe she used to frequent before all the confusion. She sat at the table, her head down, staring at the cup of coffee that was slowly cooling. Her parents had been clear: it was time to work and learn the value of effort. The idea of spending time in a regular job was unsettling, but it was what she needed to do to truly understand the life many face daily. "Are you okay?" asked the cafe manager, a middle-aged woman with a gentle and understanding look. "I heard about what happened with you and the store. It must be a tough time." Carla looked at the woman, tears threatening to return. "It's hard, yes. I never thought everything could go so wrong. I've always been spoiled, but I never really understood what it's like to face real challenges." The manager smiled sympathetically. "We all go through tough times and learn from them. What's important is what you do with that experience. Use it to grow and become a better person." While Carla faced her own internal battles, Mary was busy with a series of meetings and discussions at Boutique Elegance. The store, now full of renewed energy and interested customers, was adapting to the new demands and expectations. Mary gathered her team to discuss changes and how to improve the customer experience. "I want everyone to know how much I appreciate the extra effort you've been putting in," Mary began, her voice filled with emotion. "What happened in the last few days has shown us the true value of empathy and dedication. Our goal is to make every customer feel valued and respected." The staff, inspired by Mary's example, were excited to contribute ideas and improvements. "We can create a loyalty program to show our customers how important they are to us," suggested one of the saleswomen. Mary nodded, supporting the idea. "Great suggestion. Let's work on that. We should also invest more in customer service training to ensure every interaction is positive and welcoming." The conversation continued with enthusiasm, and the team was united in their commitment to raising the boutique's standards. The work environment was more cohesive than ever, with a renewed focus on creating an exceptional experience for everyone who entered the store. At the same time, Carla started working at a small local restaurant, a temporary job her parents had arranged for her. The first few weeks were challenging, but she was determined to do her best. The work was hard, and the tasks were simple, but the experience was beginning to change her in ways she had never imagined. During a break in her shift, Carla found a moment to reflect on everything that had happened. The humiliation she had caused Mary now seemed like a crushing weight, and the idea of going through a process of change was slowly becoming an essential part of her life. "You're doing a good job," said the restaurant manager, a man with a practical and direct attitude. "What matters is how you pick yourself up and move forward, not what happened before. If you keep dedicating yourself like this, you'll see the difference." As time passed, Carla began to notice the nuances of hard work and the value of mutual respect. The process of transformation was far from easy, but it was necessary. She began to understand the importance of treating people with dignity and facing the consequences of her actions. Meanwhile, Mary and John continued to strengthen the boutique's reputation. The store was thriving, with a more loyal clientele and a more engaged team. The community's support and the boutique's renewed image brought a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction to Mary. "Do you think Carla is learning anything from this?" John asked Mary during a quiet moment as they watched the store full of satisfied customers. Mary looked at the store, her heart full of hope. "I hope so. We all have our lessons to learn. I believe that in the end, the most important thing is that we can grow and become better people." The most profound lesson Mary had learned was that forgiveness and understanding could turn even the most painful situations into opportunities for growth and change. Carla's journey was just beginning, but Mary trusted that she would find her own path to redemption. The impact of the experience had extended beyond the boutique's walls, touching lives and inspiring change. Amid the challenges and lessons learned, both Carla and Mary were discovering new meanings and new ways of seeing the world, proving that true greatness often arises from the most difficult moments. The first morning sun filtered through the wide windows of boutique elegance, bathing the room in a soft and welcoming glow. Mary was in the store's office, surrounded by documents and notes, planning the boutique's future. The recent transformation had brought new energy and new opportunities, and Mary was ready to take the store to an even higher level. John entered the office, bringing a supportive smile. "How's the planning going for the new changes?" Mary looked up from the papers, her eyes shining with excitement. "I'm really excited. We're thinking of adding a new product line and starting a series of community events. I want the store to be more than just a place to shop. I want it to be a center of connection and support for our community." John sat down beside Mary, his look full of support and understanding. "That sounds wonderful. I believe we're on the right track. Changes are always challenging, but I'm seeing a positive impact on everyone around us." As Mary and John discussed the plans for the boutique, Carla was at a local community center, involved in volunteer work that now filled her days. Her journey toward personal transformation was beginning to show results. The experience had made her reflect on the importance of service and humility, and now she was dedicated to helping others in meaningful ways. Carla was helping to organize a fundraising event for a local cause, working side by side with community members who welcomed her with warm hospitality. "You're doing really well," praised one of the organizers. "I know you've had a tough journey, but what you're doing now is truly admirable." Carla smiled, a genuine smile of gratitude. "I've learned a lot about the value of hard work and humility. I'm trying to make a difference in any way I can." The event was a great success, raising significant funds for the cause and strengthening Carla's connection with the community. She began to realize that by helping others, she was also helping herself reconnect with the world around her and rebuild her own sense of purpose. At the end of the day, Carla received an unexpected message. It was from Mary, inviting her to a meeting at Boutique Elegance. The invitation was cordial and full of good intentions. Carla felt a mix of nervousness and hope as she accepted the invitation. When Carla arrived at the store, she was greeted by Mary and John with warm hospitality. The boutique was even more beautiful and inviting, reflecting the new energy and growth Mary had promoted. "Carla," Mary began, "I'm glad you could come. I wanted to personally thank you for the work you're doing in the community. It's admirable to see how dedicated you are to helping others." Carla looked at Mary, her eyes shining with emotion. "I really appreciate your words. It means a lot to me. I know what I did was wrong and hurtful, but I'm trying to do the best I can to make amends." Mary smiled. "I believe we can all change and grow. What matters is what we do with the opportunities we receive to improve. I'm seeing a new Carla, and that's something I value very much." "Thank you," Carla replied, her voice full of gratitude. "I hope we can move forward positively. I've learned many lessons and want to keep striving to be a better person." The meeting was a moment of reconciliation and new hopes. Mary and Carla talked about the importance of forgiveness and personal growth, and Mary offered Carla the opportunity to collaborate on future community projects promoted by the boutique. Carla accepted the offer with an open heart, knowing she was beginning a new chapter in her life. "I'd love to collaborate and contribute. This is a chance for me to do something meaningful and, at the same time, grow as a person." As the sun set over the city, bringing closure to a day filled with new possibilities, Mary and Carla were ready to write their new stories. Both had gone through difficult journeys, but they were willing to move forward with hope and determination. Mary, with Boutique Elegance thriving, was eager for the new opportunities the future would bring. The store, which had undergone a transformation, was now a symbol of overcoming and hope. And Carla, with her new outlook on life, was ready to continue her path of change and growth. The final chapter of this story was not just about the conclusion of a journey, but about the beginning of new opportunities and the promise of a brighter future for everyone involved. With empathy, understanding, and a new vision of life, Mary and Carla were prepared to face whatever came next and build a future based on respect, humility, and solidarity. And so, the story of Boutique Elegance came to a close, but the lessons learned and the transformations that took place would continue to shape the lives of everyone involved. The boutique had become more than just a place of luxury and sophistication. It had become a symbol of the power of change, forgiveness, and the importance of treating others with dignity and respect. What did you think of this story? Leave your comment below and tell us which part surprised you the most. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more touching stories like this one. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.